Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I look at the 1996 and 1997 Upper Deck SP baseball sets. Upper Deck created SP in 1993 to be a really high-end card. They understood that Topps was going to be releasing Finest, and instead of doing something that was kind of tricky, they wanted to make a really classy and kind of innovative card design, and that's really what SP was released as. In 1994, they kind of lost their way, and I don't know what happened with that card. But in 1995, they refined it and made a mid-90s card that was just unbelievably exquisite. At least with both baseball and with football, these cards just came through in exactly the way that SP really should. But that was a mid-90s design. It wasn't really right for the eras moving forward. And so what Upper Deck did in terms of shifting it into the 1996 year was to change the design approach to where they did a lot of intricate design work in terms of designing an elegant card. White borders, marble, really, really nice looking cards that look like they're well crafted and well thought out. By the time they got to baseball, though, they changed it where they took the white border away and they instead replaced it with wood grain, and kind of an orange wood grain, which worked really well with the glossiness of these cards. The difference was so distinct, these cards don't look like they're designed in the same way, even though they're literally the same card. I mean, you look on the back with the foil on the back, it's literally the same card as what they had already been releasing and would release in football as well. But that wood grain gives such a different look to these cards and makes the baseball set look unlike any other SP set, because in many ways it was, and in many ways it wasn't. The card set also begins in a great way because in football they'd always release their card sets where they had rookies at the beginning, and for 1996 in baseball, that's how the card set started out, with their rookie prospects cards with this really nice etched surface for behind the player that's not even a background. It just gives kind of an aura about the player. A really nice design theme at the top, at the bottom. It gets you in the mood for an exquisite card set. That's really what they were able to pull off here with this set. But what really makes this set stand out from other sets is the fact that it actually closes with checklists. Very unique, very unusual. Because for card sets at this level, a checklist was very rare. True, Finest was releasing checklists in their 1996 set, and that was pretty unusual because when you spend this much money on a pack of cards, getting a checklist card is always kind of frustrating. But at least in the case of Upper Deck, their SP set features players on each card, so each checklist is uniquely and individually collectible. So that's a big advantage, although because of the foil on the back, it's difficult to read the checklist. So, that was the set. But what they wanted to do is they wanted to lean more into inserts. So unlike the previous two releases where they had parallels of the main set, they didn't bother with that. They just focused on their inserts. And if you're trying to complete these sets, it's a lot of inserts to collect. The first insert set, though, is very interesting because it's Baseball Heroes. Now, Baseball Heroes was a long-standing tradition with Upper Deck. Their first inserts were Baseball Heroes in baseball packs, Upper Deck High Series 1990, Reggie Jackson. An entire set of 9 cards dedicated to Reggie Jackson, plus a header card. And every single release, High Series, Low Series, High Series, Low Series, Series 1, Series 2, each release had its own chapter in this progressive history. So Reggie Jackson was 1990 High Series Upper Deck, cards 1 through 9. Cards 10 through 18 were Nolan Ryan. 1991, Low Series. And then there was High Series, Low Series. And so that tradition continued where every single release of Upper Deck, they added another 9 cards. 1 through 9, 10 through 18, 19 through 27, 28 through 36, and on. And after a while, they weren't even doing card sets dedicated to individual players. But by 1995, they didn't need to do that because in 95, they wanted to do a cross-brand set. So they released a card set of a player where some of the cards were in Upper Deck, some were in Collector's Choice, and some were in SP. So in 1996, they decided to bring back Baseball Heroes, but to release it in SP, not in Upper Deck. And so here with these packs, we have a card set that is cards 81 through 90 that is Baseball Heroes. And right from the outset here with the header card, which is horizontal like most of the header cards were, you can see this is a card that doesn't look anything like the Upper Deck cards. The etched copper foil on this card is really impressive, and the etched team color behind the player, for the header card is Ken Griffey Jr., obviously. Great combination of these colors. But when you go over to the main cards, which are the same design but vertical, you can see that the team color is unique for each individual player, and otherwise it uses the same design with the really classic text up at the top that just looks like a traditional baseball design. It's a really impressive card set. Again, cards 81 through 90 and a header card. They also did an insert set called Marquee Matchups. Now, Marquee Matchups is a card with a blue border, gold foil, and in the inside of that is a silver etching of a stadium. They have, as you can see, 2 cards for each. They're built in pairs. So there's a 1A and a 1B. That's the design of the set. So it's individual cards for each player, but they're supposed to line up as matchups between 2 players. And the stadium design between them lines the 2 up. The card set, though, does have a parallel to it. So they didn't do parallels in the main set, but they did do parallels for some of their inserts in 1996, well, most of their inserts. And the parallel is die cut version where the border, instead of being blue, is red, and the die cutting is as you see. The entire card set is done this way, and the players still match up in the same way. But I got to note something about these cards, which is that you might run into this card, which is Home Team Heroes. This is a card that looks like it's a parallel of the Marquee Matchups. It's actually not. Marquee Matchups is a 1996 SP. The Home Team Heroes is a release by Upper Deck in 1997 that is designed as an Upper Deck release that was released in a box set. In this case, it's 2 players on the same team, and as opposed to players on different teams, and the die cut cards have a blue border, not a red border. So it's not a parallel, but it uses literally the same design and the same die cutting. So it's something to keep in mind. If you run into this, this is a separate set, totally different idea. It has nothing to do with the SP Marquee Matchups. But they did carry over an insert set from 1996 or from 1995, which was their special effects cards. Now, special effects for 1996 is done basically as the carryover for HoloView, where they have the hologram up on the top of the card. But as you can tell on this card, the border for the hologram is actually the layout of a baseball stadium, specifically the layout for the home stadium for this individual player. An unusual thing in baseball to see the different stadiums, because the layouts of the outfields are there. It's an unusual thing about baseball that they're basically all different. And this card set does also have a parallel where they have red instead of blue, but they have die cutting around the outfield for each of the stadiums. And this is what's really cool, where with this card, if you have a bunch of these cards loose, stuck together or combined together in a deck, the tops of the cards are all so different, and it gives such an impressive look at just how different all of these stadiums are. Really cool trick to this card set, something that is very unique, very, very special, and I really like it. So that was 1996. They didn't bother to do anything beyond that. That's basically about the same speed as what they'd done in 1995, so it's not that unusual. 1997, though, things would change quite a bit. So Upper Deck had already established a great standard in 1996 of having just really richly designed cards. Not necessarily the most aesthetically endearing cards, but still the design, the level of design for 1996 was really strong. And by the end of the year, they were already moving into their next design, which I think just about all of us should be able to agree is the absolute height of SP. Where by the time that we got to baseball, the design concept was elegant and edgy in a tremendous combination. I mean, right from the outset, of this set in baseball, you can tell that they're already thinking very much in a different frame of mind. The first cards in the set, the Rookie Prospects cards, are horizontal cards that have a wonderful rich etched foil for the image on the inside that's done like a background, but it's not a background. It's separate from the picture of the player. But that border, the border with the hollow foil with the SP logos is just unbelievable. It's a card that it may not be all that aesthetically endearing, but oh my word, this is impressive. But I got to note something. This is a set you can easily look at and assume it's an insert set. It's not. This is the beginning of the main set. Numerically, it starts with 1 and moves. It really does look like it's supposed to be an insert. So do keep in mind, these are the way the cards in the set are at the beginning. But it can kind of throw you off in part because these are horizontal. But when we move over to the main cards are all vertical. They still have the copper foil, which is just gorgeous. And then they continued with that amazing hollow foil with the SP logos sprinkled throughout. These cards are just stunning cards. Difficult to top these and really a great level to get to. And part of the reason I'm fawning over these cards is because as a football collector, I'm really upset that they didn't continue this for football. They dropped the ball in 1997 at football with a terrible design. We could have had this. Why didn't we? I don't know. I mean, this design doesn't even look like it's Upper Deck. It looks like it should be Pinnacle. So, kudos for them to at least get the baseball set done. Now, the set does still have a couple of checklists at the back with players on them, but the thing that's big about this card set is that the last card in the set is kind of an add-on card. It's a card of Hideki Irabu, who was the next great Japanese baseball player to come over and play in Major League Baseball. Now, this card was not done as an SP card. They did this here, Score did it as well. The number is just tacked onto the end. Not that you can read it. I really do have a problem with the numbers in the set where they're etched into the foil as opposed to printed. It really sucks. But at any rate, it's a card that's tacked onto the end, but in the same way as the Michael Jordan cards in 1994, where they're just normal cards, not SP, same as anything else. But the Hideki Irabu card does have a foil for the border, which is a darker blue that is intended to be for the Yankees. So it's an interesting card in the set to take note of. But again, they didn't do any parallels. In fact, for the Upper Deck SP 1997 release, they did no parallels at all. Well, okay, I guess I can't entirely say that. But the first insert set for 1997 is Baseball Heroes, continued on again. But this is an interesting combination of things from before and things that had not yet been done. They returned to their roots of making an entire set dedicated to one player. Where the first set was Reggie Jackson, now you have an entire set dedicated to Ken Griffey Jr. And the colors on this card, I mean the rich foils and all the etching, these are very much card colors that are designed around the Mariners. The copper is close enough that it'll work, but that deep teal is just a wonderful trait to these cards. But I got to note, all of these cards are individually serial numbered out of 2000. That's a very, very unique thing about this set. So all the cards in the set, all 10 cards, are individually serial numbered out of 2000. But that then is the other thing, which is the 10 cards. Because, look, all the other sets were 10 cards too. 9 cards and a header. But in this case, they didn't bother with a header. Instead, they have cards 91 through 99. No, these are cards 91 through 100. The last card in the set is the checklist, which it always was, but this is kind of like a header / checklist card. They basically used this as an opportunity to close out the Baseball Heroes legacy by starting at 1 and ending at 100. And then you get a bunch of header cards as well from the previous releases. But that is the other thing that's distinct, is that these are 10 individually numbered cards. So there is that. But they weren't just done with doing something unique in that regard, because they also had an insert set called Game Film. Now this is a card that has lenses of acetate inside of them. Two different frames that are totally broken apart of the same play, and wonderful copper foil around the border, but these cards need a lot of light to be able to see these images. Normally when I'm photographing these, I'm able to photograph this with a white back and you're able to see through it. I actually had to hold this card up and work in Photoshop to combine a card I was holding to the card that was there. It took me a lot of work to be able to combine these together just so that it looks right. But it is very unique to have a composite card like this in SP. Only this isn't the only one that is kind of a composite, because they also had SP Inside. And SP Inside is a super, super, super thick card, like the thickness of a pack. Over on one side they have curves, and then on the other side they have a straight border. They have a little bit of etching on both the front and the back. But on the straight side, you'll notice that there's a little notch, a little divot. And on the back, you can actually see the Upper Deck logo on that. That is a divot cut in with a little tab. If you grab the tab and you pull it out, what you're going to find is that inset into this very thick card is a whole filler card that has all the text written on it. So it is an interesting composite card that I really don't know how they expected for these cards to be in packs and collectors not be able to feel the side and find something different about it. At any rate, then there was that. Then we get to something more traditional, which is marquee matchups. Only this marquee matchups is a hybrid of the previous release where, again, there aren't parallels for these cards. So for this particular card, they have the die cutting already on the base cards. Otherwise, the cards are done the same way, only instead of a baseball stadium, they have the copper foil for an action shot instead of a stadium. Otherwise, done the same way, two different matchup cards, A and B, as you would expect. Special effects is also done as a hybrid. In this case, they have an X pattern, so they have notching on all four sides. They do have the logo, or do have the hologram in the middle, but this card has something really special, which is kind of inspired by what we saw in the main set, which is that on either side of the hologram, there are holograms of the SP logo that kind of appear when the light is just right, and then they disappear. It is almost spooky to see. It is so subtle. I never knew these were there until I was starting to prepare this video and exploring the hologram. That's when all of a sudden I saw them pop up, and it came out of nowhere. It's one of those things where they design something, and when you discover it, it feels like just an amazing discovery that you're blessed to have been able to come across. It's a really cool quality of these cards. I love that they did it. Now the last dedicated insert set is SPX Force, and this is one that can kind of throw you off because it's not a set that was released in SPX. SPX was going on already, but these cards were in SP packs that were basically like preview or promo cards for the SPX release. They do have the same border as the main SPX cards, so that's another way it can kind of throw you off. But at any rate, this is SP dedicated. The cards have a hologram with 4 different portraits on it, and you'll notice that on the back of the card, each one of the SPX Force cards are serial numbered out of 500. And, well, the big thing here, so there are 10 cards in the set. Each player shows up on only one card, so there are 40 different players in this set. But every one of these cards also came in an autographed version as well, where only one of the players on each of the cards is dedicated to autographing the autographed versions. So that means there may be 40 players who are featured, but only 10 different players autographed cards. And each one of the autographed cards has a congratulations on the back, as you would expect. But it does lead me to the last thing to note about the 1997 SP release, which is that they have autographs in the form of buyback autographs. Now, buybacks are that's easy. That's where they take individual cards from previous releases, and then they either buy them back or they have them in stock, however they want to approach it, and then they have players autograph those cards and stick them in packs. The autographed cards have a sticker on the back, and on the front they have handwritten serial numbering of however many cards were autographed by each individual player. And if you are a set collector and you want to collect this set, this is tough because you got to know which particular cards were in any individual release, because in 1997's packs, they don't have autographed 97 cards. They have them from 93, 94, 95, and 96. But then some of these cards that were autographed here with the 97 release might appear again in, say, 1999 with a different number of autographs. So if you're a completionist, this can be a really tough one to try to pursue. It was never intended to be pursued. It was just intended to be an awesome little perk. But at any rate, that finally brings all of 96 and 97 SP to a close. I hope that everything has come through clearly for you. It's a lot. It's a lot to talk about with these sets. Gorgeous sets, especially 1997. I love it. But for 1998, things were going to change radically, and I'll talk about that separately in a video that'll come up down the road. So, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I do urge you to do so, and I want to thank you for watching.